the top stories, IMF 2018 report released, Virtual's High chapter of Boys Mentorship Program launched, and St. Kitts and Nevis tourism officials meet with UK partner. The details on these stories and more after the break.
Black Friday deals continue at Quartz Optical. Shop now November 20th through to 25th and enjoy BOGO. Buy one, get one free. You heard right. Buy one pair of glasses and get a second pair absolutely free. Payment plans available from 3 to 24 months. Schedule your appointment online today on www.quartzoptical.com. It's easy and convenient. Black Friday sale continues. BOGO free. Only at Quartz Optical. Value you can see.
Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. I'm Carla Berridge. In keeping with the principles of good governance and transparency, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis has authorized the release of the 2018 Article 4 International Monetary Fund IMF report. The executive board of the IMF therefore released the report on Monday, outlining the details of the Article 4 consultation with St. Kitts and Nevis concluded on September 14, 2018. The report indicated that the quote, directors acknowledged significant challenges, including those associated with declining citizenship by investment CBI inflows, financial sector vulnerabilities, tighter global financial conditions, and weather-related shocks. Against this background, directors encouraged policies to safeguard macroeconomic and financial stability, together with reforms to strengthen competitiveness and foster inclusive growth, end quote. It was noted that if no corrective policies are put in place, quote, public debt is expected to increase over the medium term as revenue from CBI receipts further declines, end quote. According to the IMF, major fiscal adjustment was necessary to reverse the debt dynamics, and recommendations were offered to address the issues. The report said, quote, the adjustment could focus on both revenue and expenditure measures, including streamlining tax incentives, restructuring activities funded by the Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation, and containing the wage bill through a multi-year framework. Recognizing the need to maintain fiscal buffers to assist in covering the cost of natural disasters, directors recommended the establishment of a growth and resilience fund, which should be linked to a fiscal responsibility framework. They suggested that access to the GRF could be used to respond to adverse shocks and to support natural disaster resilience investment projects. Under Article 4 of the IMF's Articles of Agreement, the IMF holds bilateral discussions with members, usually every year. A staff team visits the country, collects economic and financial information, and discusses with the officials the country's economic developments and policies. On return to the headquarters, the staff prepares a report which forms the basis for discussion by the executive board. At the conclusion of the discussion, the managing director, as chairman of the board, summarizes the views of executive directors, which is then communicated to the country's authorities. On Wednesday morning, the Ministry of Gender Affairs launched the Virtual's High School chapter of their Boys Mentorship Program. More in this report.
A launch ceremony was held at the Railway Bar and Grill, attended by ministry and school officials as well as invited guests. Delivering brief remarks, Director of Gender Affairs Virgil Jeffers outlined the benefits of mentorship.
Mentoring is important because it involves one person providing help and advice to someone less experienced and often younger. It offers opportunities for one to come alongside another to share the benefits of their wisdom, skills, and experience. Mentoring often results in positive change and the building and support structures which shape and influence chapter.
10 students will be paired with mentors who will serve as positive role models and help them develop leadership skills. Principal of Verchilds High, Miguel Thomas, said he was proud to be part of this event and encouraged the young men to learn as much as they can from their interactions with the mentors.
We often hear that there is a scarcity of young men. To my mind, this is not so. What happens is that there are not enough avenues in which our young men can be celebrated. And so in this forum, I am delighted to just be a part of this, to have our young men extract whatever lessons they can, and hopefully you young men, look at me, whatever lessons you extract from this setting, that you pass it on to your peers at the Verchilds High School.
The program supports this year's International Men's Day theme, Gender Equality, the role of men and boys in building and maintaining positive relationships. Minister of Gender Affairs, the Honorable Iseline Phillip, said positive relationships with friends and mentors can help the young men build rich, productive lives.
Maintaining friendships and talking to your fellow peers, talking to your mentors, talking to positive friends regularly, it really helps to contribute to living a rich and fulfilling life. So we see that far too often men typically might end up alone due to the paranoia of being seen as soft or weak. So having friends and being vulnerable with your friends, don't think that that emasculates you. It doesn't. We're all human beings, and it's valid to experience every single one of the human emotions, even crying and sadness.
Mentors and mentees are encouraged to spend at least 2 hours a week together. This is the 4th school in which the mentorship program has been launched. Jason Davis for ZIZ News.
Minister of Tourism Honorable Masha Henderson is leading a delegation to the United Kingdom for the return of the UK Roadshow, which comprises of multiple travel trade events from November 21st to 25th, 2022. As part of the destination's renewed efforts to engage with the UK travel trade post-COVID, the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, in partnership with the Nevis Tourism Authority, gather agents and tour operators for hosted dinners at premium venues in Hertfordshire, Kent and Surrey. Also, while in the UK, Minister Henderson and her delegation met with British Airways and British Airways Holidays executives to discuss airlift and marketing opportunities for 2023 and beyond. British Airways currently serves the destination twice weekly on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Nevis was also represented on this visit to the UK with a team from the Nevis Tourism Authority led by CEO Devon Liburd. During the second day of the week-long Commonwealth Law Ministers meeting, Honorable Gath Wilkin, Attorney General and Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs, addressed the plenary session on the topic Commonwealth Anti-Corruption Benchmarks. Attorney General Wilkin told his fellow Commonwealth Law Ministers that the St. Kitts and Nevis government is, quote, committed to substantially reduce corruption and bribery in all forms, end quote. He made mention of the finalization of a draft of the anti-corruption bill to table in Parliament within the next 2 weeks. He added that the government is, quote, also strengthening our integrity in public life legislation, end quote, and that, quote, modernization of our freedom of information and government procurement legislation is also on the immediate agenda, end quote. The Commonwealth has established 25 benchmarks of good anti-corruption practices for national governments and public sector bodies to tackle corruption. The Attorney General said with these actions, it is hoped that within the shortest time possible, possible. It will align with the Commonwealth's anti-corruption mandate and meet all benchmarks with the help of the other Commonwealth countries. After the break, St. Kitts Nevis Environment Rep coordinates Human Rights Forum in Ecuador, and U.S. State Department funds Bath Hotel restoration. Stay with us.
Flow, oh, oh. Jingle all the way home to Flow, where the speed is faster and price is better. All the way home to Flow, merry connections that bring us together, yeah.
Christmas starts the moment you bundle your Flow internet with your Flow mobile, because when you do, you get a free laptop. Plus, you get 100 megabits per second internet speed, 20 gigabytes of data, 4,000 local minutes, and unlimited WhatsApp and YouTube.
All the way home to Flow.
Here are your Hartford Value Mart IG Value Club Blue Tag Specials.
Running November 17th to the 30th.
Nestle Splash Flavored Water, just $7.99. Bird's Eye Steam Fresh Vegetables, $5.99. Culinary Circle Pizzas, $29.99. Shoppers Value Ice Cream, just $35.99. Essential Everyday Napkins, $12.49. IGA and Essential Everyday Salad Dressings, $9.49. And now our very low weekly
Value deals. Kellogg's Cornflakes, $19.99. Essential Everyday Canned Vegetables, $3.99. Colgate Toothpaste, $9.99. IG and Essential Everyday Cream Cheese, $6.49. Essential Everyday Ketchup, $4.99. Kraft Real Mayonnaise, $18.99. Shop smart, shop Value Mart. Tell them in Spanish.
sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a Value Mart.
Want to get away? Now you can.
Stop standing in long ATM lines to withdraw cash. Use your national debit or black cards to complete a wide variety of transactions at supermarkets, variety stores, gas stations, pharmacies, and more. Shop online at the most popular websites and stores for quality brands using your national debit or black cards. And take back your time to enjoy all the things that you love to do. Remember, instead of waiting in long ATM lines to withdraw cash, use your national bank cards today.
National Bank, always here.
Welcome back. St. Kitts and Nevis, Ecuador, and Chile are coordinating a two-day forum on human rights defenders in environmental matters in Latin America and the Caribbean in Quito, Ecuador. The objective of the forum is to provide a space for discussion on the situation of human rights defenders in environmental matters, to examine the challenges faced by human rights defenders in environmental matters and the possible responses to these challenges. The forum will also examine how the Escazú Agreement can provide a supporting framework at regional and national levels. Darian Edmead, Environmental Education Officer in the Ministry of Environment, is representing St. Kitts and Nevis. He serves as the country's focal point for the Escazú Agreement and one of the coordinators for the Human Rights Forum. According to him, women, farmers, and indigenous people who fight against deforestation, extractives, or loss of cultural heritage or identity are the environmental defenders who are most exposed to abuse. He said, quote, "Every day they face abuse, threats, and harassment for their work addressing the triple planetary crisis of climate change, pollution, and nature loss," end quote. The forum is organized by the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, UNECLAC, and in accordance with Decision I-6 on human rights defenders in environmental matters. The United States Embassy donated more than $108,000 to the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society for a project to conserve and stabilize the Bath Hotel and the Hermitage Inn in Nevis. The grant is part of the United States State Department's Global Ambassadors Fund for Cultural Preservation AFCP program. The project will include engineering works that include repairs to electrical wiring and plumbing, sealing of the roof, repairs to any windows and doors by skilled carpenters, as well as the repointing of the stonework where necessary by a master mason. In her remarks at the signing ceremony at the Bath Hotel on Tuesday, U.S. Ambassador to St. Kitts and Nevis and the OECS, Linda Tagliatella, said the signing ceremony demonstrates the United States' commitment to partnering with St. Kitts and Nevis to preserve its rich history and culture. The Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation is a program that receives proposals from cultural museums, ministries of culture, NGOs, and other organizations around the world for a limited number of sponsorships. Through the AFCP Grants Program, the United States supports the preservation of archaeological sites, historic buildings and monuments, museum collections, and forms of traditional cultural expression by providing funding to carry out an individual project to preserve cultural heritage in a specific priority country. A new feature will appear on electricity bills of users but Skelec says it's nothing to be alarmed about. The St. Kitts Electricity Company Limited will now include what the cost would have been if the fuel variable charge were to be included. However, customers will not pay that cost. Pearl Williams, finance manager at Skelec, explained during Power Talk on ZIZ on Wednesday.
There will be no change in the amount that you pay because we are just letting you see what the amount of the fuel variation that you would have paid if we would have let you pay it. So I said before and I will repeat, the fuel variation will be there, and right below it you will see a credit of the amount. So you are not going to pay the fuel variation charge, but we are letting you see your savings. You know, when you go to a store and they say you have 20% discount, they show you how much you save. So you see what, and you see how much is your discount, and you see what you pay. So that is exactly what we said. We're showing you what your usage is, what you should have been paying, and then we discounting it right away.
Patrice Harris, Skelec's communications manager, spoke of the reason for the inclusion of the price.
This is an educational awareness exercise. We want persons to understand, just like how when you go to the gas station and you're seeing it even in the supermarkets, that cost is rising because of different external factors. That too is having an impact on operations and finances at Skelec as well. So it is important for you to understand that yes, the cost of fuel has increased. However, the government has subsidized that difference in the fuel over what the baseline is, and we want you to understand that and even use that as a bit of an impetus for you to come in and pay the bill.
The electricity company is also encouraging persons to pay their bills and settle arrears over the Christmas season. A number of traffic restrictions will be put in place for the smooth flow of traffic for VAT Day on Friday, 25th November. Manager of the Traffic Department, Inspector Carleen Phipps, joined ZIZ's On the Road program where she outlined the operation plan for VAT Day.
Bank Street will be made a one-way, so traffic will be only flowing east to west. That is from Hosford Road end to the circus.
That's Bank Street.
Yes, sir. Okay. So traffic that travels from south to north on 4th Street, you are not allowed to travel east on Bank Street.
She said as the day progresses, the traffic department will be monitoring the areas to identify where other temporary traffic measures will be required. Inspector Phipps also offered suggestions to drivers and pedestrians to ensure the smooth flow of traffic on Friday.
We also asking persons to park outside of Bastille because Bastille itself is already saturated, or you can do pooling of vehicles.
We don't like to walk.
But that's a day that we should exercise. We also asking persons who will be buying bulky stuff, you maybe could pay and then collect them on a later date, because we know how it is on VAT Day. And persons who will be picking up and dropping off at the necessary areas, we are asking you to do that within the time specified on the the poles, as we want the traffic to be flowing freely. We are also asking pedestrians, please cross safely, use the necessary crossings and comply with the traffic.
Throughout the day on Friday, police officers will be at various locations in Bastille to assist with traffic and maintaining peace and order. Coming up in regional news, Guyanese man found guilty of raping 15-year-old with disability. The details.